Following a drop in the value of Russia's currency this week, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency prices are surging. This indicates that Russian investors could be withdrawing their funds from the ruble as economic sanctions against the country take effect. Another reason driving up prices is growing skepticism among some younger investors about government policies that affect currency exchange rates. But can digital currencies like Bitcoin be used by Russia to avoid sanctions? Now, joining me to discuss this is Mpho Dagada, a member of the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Mr. Dagada, a pleasure to have you on the program this morning. Now, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has thrust cryptocurrency into the spotlight once again and also raised questions. Tell us, can cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin be used by Russia to even avoid sanctions?
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me here. Now, when we look at cryptocurrencies, I think the main thing about it is that they're decentralized, meaning they actually function outside of the perimeters of any centralized reserve bank or any centralized currency. So cryptocurrencies in this case can be used to help the people within Russia who are affected by sanctions, and also used in Ukraine as well to assist people that are going through the war. So they necessarily don't function within the perimeters of the centralized reserve bank or the centralized currency, but they function outside of that, and that's why many people are happy to use them.
But in broader terms, questions have also arisen as to whether cryptocurrency as well as Bitcoin could also be used to actually fund such invasions as well. What has been your observation on that, in that regard, especially when it comes to the use of cryptocurrency for sinister motives?
I think in specifics to this war, what we've seen is that in Ukraine there's been over $69 million in donations through cryptocurrency. As you know, cryptocurrency is sort of the fastest way to transact in this day and age. So this has really been able to assist. We saw officials of the government in Ukraine actually going out to the public and saying, if you can make donations in cryptocurrencies to assist the Ukrainian government, and we saw the $69 million go through there. We've also seen people in Russia as well that are saying, we want to do marches, etc., to stop this type of thing happening, and we've also seen donations going there. So what we're seeing is that these donations are able to assist people in a quick and effective way, and they're able to assist when a currency is not doing well in terms of actually getting the work done without it, some people donating and then the conversion rate to that currency not functioning because of specific sanctions.
I want to take observations from other experts who point to the traceable nature of the blockchain as well as the lack of liquidity as reasons that it would be very difficult for Russians to even use cryptocurrency to avoid these sanctions.
That's very true. I think a lot of people would like to think that, cryptocurrency sort of help the oligarchs and the billionaires, and that's really not true. Cryptocurrencies are very much for the people. It's sort of like democracy. It allows people themselves to make the decisions. And what we've seen is that people themselves are deciding with their own money what they want to do. As these officials are able to say, you know what, for this cause, this is the wallet address, or this is the address you can send the cryptocurrencies to, we're seeing that people are using that to be able to do that. And we're also seeing that cryptocurrency exchanges like Binance are coming out, which is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange, and donating $10 million just, I think, on the second day of the war, and allowing their staff to go out there and assist. So we're seeing that cryptocurrency is really playing a very important role in this. And also in terms of these billionaires being able to liquidate their assets and move them over to cryptocurrencies, it would be very tricky, because I think in the cryptocurrency landscape, we've seen very much growth within the space, and we've also seen that the liquidity providers do very strict KYCs. So they really wouldn't be able to do that in a short space of time. I mean, you can't sell a property and get it onto a blockchain that easily or that quickly. So we're really seeing that because of those factors, they're not able to do that, and we're seeing that cryptocurrencies are helping people on the ground.
Now, some viewers might be watching us and wondering, what are these guys even talking about? I like using the analogy of speaking to a 10-year-old. If I was a 10-year-old, how would you explain to me what is cryptocurrency? What is Bitcoin really?
I think the best way to explain to a 10-year-old is to say, back in the day, people used to actually send each other letters. So they'd physically write letters and post it. And Bitcoin sort of comes as the email of letters. So we've just digitized the process, which, took quite long to do, which was quite tedious. Things got lost in the way. There were lots of protocols. And we just digitized it to make it simpler, effective, and more simple for everybody to use. So the best way to explain it to a 10-year-old is to say, this is the email of writing letters.
Interesting. Now, another debate that I also want to touch on before I let you go is also the one that's been raging over whether Bitcoin has finally taken up the status of this digital coin. What's your assessment in this regard?
I think one thing we need to be aware of is that, Bitcoin was the first to come out, and because Bitcoin was the first as a solution, obviously it gained a lot of traction and it did extremely well. But people must remember that Bitcoin was created in 2009. So we're talking about 10 years ago. And throughout the time, we've seen new cryptocurrencies being developed all around the world that are faster, that are more effective, that are doing much better in terms of technology and innovation. But the market itself is going to take some time to gain traction. So what Bitcoin has sort of become today is sort of the gold of this digital world, where people are saying, well, this is the strongest store of value. It was the first one to be discovered, and this is the first introduction of this new thing. And we've seen that it's gained a lot of traction, and that's the reason why it remains with preeminence on the market. However, we do have lots of other cryptocurrencies that do and function in different ways.
And speaking about other forms of cryptocurrency, are we finding that more nations are creating their own cryptocurrency?
Very interesting that you say that. So there is a process in cryptocurrency now where they sort of use an on-ramp to get involved in this decentralized finance. So for example, if you wanted to actually get involved as a South African, you'd be actually able to go into a cryptocurrency exchange and buy what we'd call a ZAR stable coin, which would be a representation of the South African rand. So the on-ramping process, we'd call that minting in the decentralized world. And what that means is that when you turn your physical cash in a bank account into now a cryptocurrency version of the South African rand, that will then be created on a blockchain, and as a result you'd be able to participate in this metaverse world, this NFT world, in this cryptocurrency world. And if you want to go back into your fiat, we'd call that burning, where that specific cryptocurrency that was minted onto a blockchain would then be burnt and sent back into the fiat currency. So we found that in this decentralized world, they've really thought about making sure that each and every person can participate through this minting, on-ramping onto this decentralized world, and then through the burning, the exiting of the decentralized world. So we're finding that many different currencies, like the United States dollars, like the rand, like the naira, have now actually created on-ramps and off-ramps from this cryptocurrency world. And people are very happy about it because it's very transparent, it's all through a blockchain, and there's a new ecosystem created therein. So there's now finance within the blockchain system, where you can buy a house utilizing your cryptocurrency, you can take a loan out utilizing your cryptocurrency. So there's a whole new world that's been created within this decentralized space, and many people are innovating, getting involved, and creating great ideas within it.
Another interesting trend that we are seeing, especially after this conflict or during this conflict, is that we are seeing many Ukrainian students selling NFT to escape this conflict in that region. Just explain to us how that works.
So the NFT process is sort of, art pieces or sort of creativity that's plugged in on the blockchain. And what they're doing is they're realizing that obviously they don't have a market to be able to go out there. They can't really physically go out there and sell their art. So what they're doing is they're minting the art onto the blockchain, which is a representation of the actual art that they actually have, and the global stage or the whole world can then buy from them, and they're able to continue the economy. And many different entrepreneurs, young people within Ukraine are saying, well, since we can't actually function in our own economy here, let's go onto this decentralized world, onto this blockchain, and function there. So artists are creating songs, and instead of releasing them and performing in public areas, they're creating digital concerts through NFTs, and NFT holders are able to access backroom through this digital world, and art pieces are being created by these young entrepreneurs, and they're able to sell them. And as you know, cryptocurrencies are effective and fast. So if you're in South Africa, if you're in Japan, if you're in the United States of America, you're able to support a young Ukrainian entrepreneur, so that it's not all gloom and bloom for them thinking what's going to happen after the war. You're able to actually support them immediately, effectively, and you're actually able to own this digital asset, which many people are finding is more important than owning a physical asset. Because that can be malleable, can be burnt, can be stolen, but the digital asset, however, you can keep it forever.
And closer to home, are we finding that there's a significant uptake of our own locals getting in the space of cryptocurrency as well as selling NFT?
So we do find that in South Africa we've got some very interesting cases. So the Major League Twins, which is a very popular Amapiano group, or brothers, they've created their own NFT. So it's an Amapiano NFT. And that breaks obviously from the culture of Amapiano and getting them involved within this digital space. But what we're seeing is that many young South Africans, especially in the art industry, the artists, are getting very much involved. We've seen people like Trevor Stearman, who's a well-renowned photographer. He's getting involved through NFTs, and they're able to put their NFTs out there and get people to actually gain traction on them. But what we're also seeing is that the need for digital skills, and this is what the Fourth Industrial Revolution Commission then wrote out as an advisory to government, to say there needs to be a fast tracking of digital skills. And recently we've been able to see the Minister of Communications in South Africa, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni. She's come out to say that every South African household world will soon be getting access to internet. And we're looking at 10 gigs as a start for free, and then obviously increasing thereafter. And these are some of the recommendations of the Fourth Industrial Revolution Commission. But what we need is we need faster traction.
Right,
because obviously Africa has been a bit behind when it comes to the 4IR, and we want to make sure that we become a leader, especially because the young people in South Africa are unemployed, that the young people in South Africa are able to understand what NFTs are immediately. They're able to access them, because this is all on the internet, right?
Exactly.
And if a young person has access to the internet and a device, they're able to participate in this global economy where funds are pulled in from all around the world, and they're able to grow and understand it much better. And that's what we're advocating for. So we're hoping for more traction, and we're hoping for more fast track on government to make sure that these recommendations are implemented, to make sure that every South African is aware, able to use, and able to create an economy for themselves and create a job out of this new decentralized world that we find ourselves in.
And speak to us a bit more about the work of the Fourth Industrial Revolution Commission. What does it seek to do?
The Fourth Industrial Revolution Commission seeks to put South Africa as a leading country in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Obviously, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, we're looking at different technologies like blockchain technologies, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, and we're looking at positioning South Africa as a leader, first for investments, for countries to be able to invest within the Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies in the country, and also to position South Africa as a country that can actually participate and have a strong standing. As you would know, South Africa is full of minerals that actually create these devices that connect to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, that create these technologies. So we want Africa not only to be a resource sort of supplement to the rest of the world, but to actually create these resources and create an economy that can be sustainable within the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Free internet for everybody, and get everybody involved together with their devices, learning, build hubs, and continue to grow the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Africa.
And speaking about that public participation, how do people get in touch with the Commission, and what kind of platforms do you offer for the layman?
So the Commission's got a website that's set out, and in each of the recommendations that are set, there's specific actionable points that people can start to look out for. The different departments that have already gotten started on getting involved in that, and even corporate South Africa has taken a very much upkeep in making sure that they're empowering South Africans to learn more and participate in this. So there are different platforms that people can get involved with, and that's where they get the information.
Mpho, thank you very much for that insightful chat. That was Mpho Dagada. He's a member of the Presidential Commission for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, speaking to us there about several matters, including how blockchain as well as cryptocurrency is being used by some in Ukraine to even avoid some of this conflict. Students also using NFTs to escape from this conflict and the violence there.